During my visit, my daughter asked me not to talk to my grandkids, so I wouldn't confuse them emotionally. They were the ones who asked to leave with their favorite grandma. Your presence here means so much to me. Watch until the end and leave a comment telling me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far my story has reached. I smoothed my hands over my skirt as I approached Amanda's brick colonial house, the familiar flutter of excitement in my chest. Once a month, that's all I was allowed now. One Sunday a month to see my daughter and my precious grandchildren. I'd brought small gifts, nothing extravagant, just thoughtful tokens. A model airplane kit for 8-year-old Tommy who loved anything that flew. A collection of fairy stickers for 6-year-old Lily. As I rang the doorbell, I rehearsed how I'd greet them. The door swung open, and Amanda stood there, her smile tight around the edges. "Hi, Mom," she said, stepping aside. "Come in." I barely crossed the threshold when she grabbed my elbow, steering me toward the kitchen, away from the living room where I could hear the children's voices. "Mom, before you see the kids, I need to ask you something." Amanda's voice dropped to a whisper. Her fingers dug into my arm. "Robert and I think it would be better if you don't speak much with Tommy and Lily today." The words hit me like a slap. "What do you mean?" "Just, don't engage them in conversation. It's confusing them emotionally." Confusing them? How could a grandmother talking to her grandchildren possibly confuse them? Amanda's eyes darted toward the doorway. "You tell them things that contradict our parenting methods. It creates conflict." My heart sank as I recognized the words. Not Amanda's, Robert's. My son-in-law of 5 years who seemed to view me as a threat rather than family. "What things, Amanda? What have I said that's so harmful?" "Just, things. Like telling Tommy it's okay to cry when Robert is teaching him to be strong. Or encouraging Lily's interest in dinosaurs when we're trying to nurture more feminine pursuits." I bit my tongue, hard. My sweet, sensitive grandson wasn't allowed to cry? My bright, curious granddaughter was being steered away from her passions? "I'm their grandmother," I said, my voice wavering. "I love them. And we appreciate that. But Robert feels," she stopped, correcting herself. "We feel it's important to present a united front. A united front that excluded me." The dinner was excruciating. Tommy kept trying to tell me about his science project, only to be interrupted by Robert. "Tommy, eat your dinner. Grandma doesn't need to hear every detail." Lily reached for my hand under the table, a secret connection, but Amanda noticed and called her to help bring in dessert, an obvious distraction. I sat there, a stranger in my daughter's home, watching as Robert dominated the conversation. When had my bright, independent Amanda become this shadow who looked to her husband before speaking? The transformation had been so gradual I'd almost missed it. Almost. "Grandma, did you bring us anything?" Lily finally blurted out, unable to contain her excitement any longer. Before I could answer, Robert interjected. "Lily, that's rude. We don't ask for gifts." "It's okay," I said, reaching for my bag. "I did bring a little something for each of you." Robert's mouth tightened. "We've talked about this, Teresa. You spoil them." "A model airplane and stickers are hardly spoiling," I countered, forcing a light tone. The remainder of the visit continued in this strained manner. I watched as Robert corrected the children for the smallest infractions, Tommy's elbows on the table, Lily's excited interruption. Amanda said nothing, just kept glancing nervously between her husband and me. When it was time to leave, the facade finally cracked. Tommy and Lily ran to me as I gathered my purse, both wrapping their arms around my waist. "Can we go with you, Grandma?" Tommy pleaded. "Please. Just for a little while?" Lily nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah. We want to go with our favorite grandma." The look on Amanda's face shifted from surprise to anger. Robert stood frozen, his coffee cup halfway to his lips. "Kids, that's enough," Amanda said, her voice strained. "Grandma has to go home now." "But we never get to see her," Lily protested, her small hands clutching my skirt. Robert set his cup down with a sharp clink. "What have you been saying to them?" he demanded, staring directly at me. "Nothing," I replied truthfully. "I've hardly spoken to them all afternoon, as requested." Amanda pulled the children away from me. "See what you've done," she hissed. "You're manipulating them against us." The accusation stung like a physical blow. "Amanda, that's not fair." I think you should go now," Robert cut in, moving to stand beside my daughter, a united front indeed. I looked at my grandchildren's confused faces, at my daughter's cold expression, at my son-in-law's satisfied smirk. Something inside me broke and hardened simultaneously. "I'll see you next month," I said, mostly to the children. As I walked to my car, I heard Lily's wail and Tommy's protests behind me. Driving home, tears blurred my vision. What had happened to my family? More importantly, what was happening to my grandchildren in that house? The pain of exclusion was sharp, but something else gnawed at me, a growing concern that went beyond hurt feelings. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. This wasn't just about me anymore. Something wasn't right in that house, and I wouldn't, remain silent much longer. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Tommy's pleading eyes, Lily's small hands reaching for me. This wasn't just about my hurt feelings, something felt deeply wrong. I padded to my living room in the darkness, settling into the old armchair where I'd once rocked Amanda. On the side table sat their wedding photo, Amanda radiant in white, Robert handsome in his tuxedo. I remembered how my chest had swelled with pride and hope that day. Hope that quickly began to fade. It started with small things. Robert dismissing Amanda's opinions at dinner. His insistence on approving her clothing choices. His subtle eye rolls when she spoke about her teaching career. At first, I told myself I was overreacting, that this was just marriage adjustment. But then Amanda began canceling our weekly lunch dates. She stopped calling just to chat. She became guarded, measuring her words carefully. I traced my finger over Amanda's smiling face in the photo. When had my confident, outspoken daughter become this careful, anxious woman who looked to her husband before speaking? The phone rang, startling me from my thoughts. Who would call at midnight? My heart raced as I answered. "Teresa?" "It's Diane." My oldest friend lived in Amanda's neighborhood. Her children had grown up with Amanda. "I saw your car at Amanda's today," she continued. "I wanted to check on you." "I'm fine," I said automatically, then sighed. "No, that's not true. Something's wrong, Diane." Amanda barely let me speak to the kids. Diane's long pause spoke volumes. I wasn't going to say anything, but I overheard Amanda at the school pickup last week. She was telling another mother that you were emotionally abusive when she was growing up. That you're trying to undermine her parenting now. The accusation hit like a physical blow. What? That's absurd. I was strict sometimes, sure, but abusive? I know it's not true, Diane assured me. But Teresa, I think Robert's been putting these ideas in her head. Amy Jenkins told me he cornered her at a PTA meeting, asking detailed questions about your relationship with Amanda in high school. It felt calculated. I sank deeper into my chair, my mind spinning. Was Robert deliberately trying to isolate Amanda from me? From everyone who knew her before him? After Diane hung up, I sat in the darkness, memories flooding back. Amanda as a bright-eyed child, curious about everything. Amanda as a teenager, passionate and sometimes rebellious. Our arguments, sure, what mother and daughter don't clash. But abuse? Never. Raising her alone after Tom died hadn't been easy. Working 2 jobs sometimes meant missed recitals or late dinners. I'd been strict about grades, curfews, responsibilities, perhaps too strict at times. But everything I did was out of love, out of a desperate desire to give her the best life possible. Had I failed so completely that Amanda now rewrote our history as abuse? The next morning, I pulled out albums of old photographs. Amanda's childhood spread before me in snapshots. Her 5th birthday party with the butterfly cake she'd requested, camping trips where we'd counted stars, her high school graduation where she'd hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. Was I romanticizing the past? Had I been so blinded by my own perspective that I missed how she truly felt? My cell phone rang, interrupting my thoughts. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something compelled me to. Grandma? A small, scared voice whispered. My heart leapt. Tommy? Sweetheart, is everything okay? I borrowed Mom's old phone to call you, he said, his voice barely audible. Dad's really mad today. He's yelling a lot. Cold fear washed over me. Is everyone safe? Are you and Lily okay? Yeah, but Mom's crying in the bathroom. Dad keeps saying she's useless, just like her mother. Just like her mother. The pieces clicked into terrible place. Robert wasn't just isolating Amanda from me, he was using me as a weapon against her. Tommy, where is your dad right now? Downstairs. I'm hiding in my closet. My mind raced. Listen carefully, sweetheart. You did the right thing calling me, but I need you to hang up now and delete this number from the call history. Do you know how to do that? Yes, he said, and I could hear the fear in his voice. Grandma, when can we see you again? The question broke my heart. Soon, I promise. I love you and Lily very much. Never forget that. After we disconnected, I sat motionless, cold reality settling over me. This wasn't just about a controlling son-in-law or a strained relationship with my daughter. This was about emotional abuse spreading like poison through my family, reaching my grandchildren. I'd been raised to believe family problems stayed within the family, that dirty laundry wasn't aired in public. But as I stared at Amanda's wedding photo, I realized that silence wasn't protecting anyone. It was only allowing the damage to continue. I picked up my phone again and called Diane. I need your help, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. And I need you to be completely honest with me about what you've seen. What's going on, Teresa? I think Amanda and the kids are in trouble. Not the kind with bruises you can photograph, the kind that breaks you from the inside. The silence on the other end lasted only a moment. I was hoping you'd call, Diane finally said. There are things I haven't told you. Things I've noticed that didn't seem right. As Diane began to speak, I grabbed a notebook and started writing. For too long, I'd respected Amanda's space, backed away when she pushed me off, doubted my own instincts. That ended today. My grandchildren had called me their favorite grandma for a reason. They sensed what I was only now fully realizing, that love sometimes means fighting battles you never wanted to face, for people who might not even want your help. I looked at the blank page before me, pen poised. The truth might be ugly, painful, complicated, but ignoring it hadn't helped anyone. It was time to stop being silent. The next 2 weeks, I tried every approach I could think of to reconnect with Amanda and the children. I started small, a text message asking how Tommy's science project turned out. No response. An email with an article about helping anxious children that I thought might help with Lily's nightmares. Unread. A card for their anniversary with a gift certificate to their favorite restaurant. Returned unopened. Each rejection stung, but I refused to give up. I had a growing folder of notes from my conversations with Diane and other parents who'd interacted with my family. A disturbing pattern was emerging. Robert always walks Tommy and Lily into school himself, one mother told me. Never lets Amanda do it. Says she can't be trusted to get them there on time. I've seen him check her phone at PTA meetings, another confided. Right in front of everyone. She looked mortified. I decided to try a different approach. I sent a small care package to the children at school, nothing extravagant, just books I knew they'd love and small notes telling them how proud I was of them. The school secretary, who'd known me for years, promised to place them in their cubbies. The next day, my doorbell rang. Robert stood on my porch, the package in his hands. "This is inappropriate," he said, his voice cold. You were asked to respect boundaries. They're books, Robert. From my grandchildren. Books with messages undermining our parenting. He thrust the package toward me. Don't do this again. I didn't take it. What exactly are you afraid of? That they'll know their grandmother loves them? His eyes narrowed. I'm protecting my family from your influence. Your family? They're my family too. Not anymore. He dropped the package at my feet and turned to leave. Amanda agrees with me on this. She doesn't want you confusing the children with your outdated ideas. I watched him drive away, my heart racing. This wasn't just controlling behavior, this was isolation, a classic tactic of emotional abusers. I'd seen it in my work as a school counselor before retirement. I just never thought I'd see it in my own family. That evening, I called a former colleague who specialized in family therapy. I need guidance, Patricia, I said after explaining the situation. I'm worried about my daughter and grandchildren, but everything I try makes it worse. Patricia's voice was gentle but firm. Document everything, Teresa. Dates, times, exact words used. If what you're describing is accurate, this is emotional abuse, and it tends to escalate. Should I confront Amanda directly? That could backfire. If Robert has isolated her effectively, she may choose him over you. You need to be the safe harbor that stays consistently available. But I can't even see them now. Then make sure they know you're still there. Keep sending cards or texts, even if they go unanswered. Abusers want victims to believe they're alone with no options. I followed her advice. Every week, I sent a text to Amanda. Simple messages, thinking of you. Love you. I'm here whenever you need me. No accusations, no demands. Just a reminder that I hadn't given up. I sent birthday cards to the school for Tommy and Lily with small gift cards tucked inside. I learned later from Diane that Robert had intercepted those too, telling the kids I'd forgotten their birthdays entirely. 3 months after that disastrous dinner, I was shopping when I spotted Amanda across the store. My heart leapt. This was my chance to talk to her without Robert present. I approached cautiously, noticing how tired she looked, how her shoulders hunched as if carrying an invisible weight. Amanda, I said softly. She startled, almost dropping her basket. Mom. What are you? I didn't expect to see you here. I shop here every Thursday. I tried to keep my tone light. How are you, sweetheart? How are the kids? Her eyes darted around nervously. Fine. We're all fine. Amanda, I've been worried about you. The way Robert spoke to you at dinner that night. Her expression hardened instantly. Don't start this again. Robert is a wonderful husband and father. Then why do you look so unhappy? Why aren't the children allowed to speak to me? This is exactly why, she snapped. You're judgmental and critical. You always have been. The words stung, but I saw something else in her eyes, fear. I love you, I said simply. I will always love you. Her phone rang. She glanced at it, her face paling slightly. I have to go. Before I could respond, she hurried away, leaving her half-filled basket behind. I watched her go, a cold certainty settling in my stomach. The phone call had been from Robert. 2 days later, I received a certified letter. A formal cease and desist, threatening a restraining order if I continued to harass Amanda or attempt to contact the children. I sat at my kitchen table, the letter shaking in my hands. This was Robert's endgame, complete isolation. If I pushed harder, I'd give him legal grounds to cut me off permanently. If I backed away, I'd be abandoning my family when they needed me most. Patricia's words echoed in my mind, document everything. I opened my laptop and began typing, chronicling everything I'd observed and learned over the past months. I didn't know what I'd do with this information yet, but I knew one thing for certain, I would not be silenced. For months without seeing my grandchildren felt like an eternity. I kept my routine, tending my garden, volunteering at the community center, meeting friends for coffee, but joy had leached from these activities. Every child's laugh on the street made my heart ache, wondering how Tommy and Lily were doing. I'd respected the cease and desist letter legally, but I hadn't given up. I'd consulted a family attorney who specialized in grandparents' rights, though she'd been candid about the limitations. Without evidence of abuse or neglect, courts typically defer to parents, she explained. Emotional abuse is notoriously difficult to prove. So I waited, documenting everything, hoping for an opening that might never come. The call, when it finally came, wasn't from Amanda or Robert, but from Oak Ridge Elementary School. "Mrs. Hampton? This is Ms. Winters, Tommy's teacher." Her voice was carefully professional. "We have a situation with Tommy. He's asking for you specifically. Would it be possible for you to come to the school?" My heart raced. "Is he hurt?" "Physically, no. But he's very upset. He's refusing to speak to anyone but you." I was in my car before we hung up, driving perhaps too fast to the school where I'd once walked Amanda to kindergarten, where my grandchildren now learned and played, or were supposed to. The school secretary escorted me to the counselor's office. Through the glass panel in the door, I could see Tommy sitting hunched in a chair, his small shoulders trembling. I barely recognized him. In just 4 months, he looked thinner, his usual exuberance dimmed to a dull wariness that broke my heart. He looked up when I entered, his face crumpling. "Grandma." He launched himself into my arms with such force that I staggered back a step. I held him close, breathing in the scent of his hair, feeling his tears soak into my blouse. "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm here." Ms. Winters and the school counselor, Mrs. Jenkins, exchanged glances. "Tommy had what we call an emotional dysregulation during math class," Mrs. Jenkins explained carefully. "When we couldn't calm him, he asked for you. Repeatedly." "What happened, Tommy?" I asked gently. He pulled back, wiping his nose with his sleeve. "Dad got really mad this morning because I couldn't find my homework. He said I was stupid like Mom. He kept yelling and yelling." The adults in the room shifted uncomfortably. Then at recess, Kevin said his dad says my dad is a bully, and I pushed him because it's not true, Tommy continued, his words tumbling out faster. "But then I started thinking maybe it is true because Dad yells at Mom all the time and she cries in the bathroom and Lily's having nightmares, and I just wanted to talk to you because you always make things better." The room fell silent. Tommy's innocent disclosure had confirmed my worst fears. "Mrs. Hampton, could we speak privately?" Mrs. Jenkins asked. I nodded, though I was reluctant to let go of Tommy. Ms. Winters offered to stay with him. In the hallway, Mrs. Jenkins kept her voice low. "We've noticed concerning behaviors from both Tommy and Lily this semester. Increased anxiety, emotional outbursts, social withdrawal. When we've tried to discuss it with the parents, Mr. Scott becomes defensive and Mrs. Scott, well, she defers to him." I nodded, unsurprised. "Amanda, their mother, she's become very isolated. Robert controls everything. We've suspected as much. Lily told our art therapist that Daddy has all the power in our house." That's a direct quote from a 6-year-old. My throat tightened. "What happens now?" Mrs. Jenkins sighed. "Honestly? Not much officially. What Tommy described doesn't meet the threshold for mandatory reporting. But unofficially? We're concerned. They're afraid of their father," I said flatly. "My daughter is being emotionally abused. Isn't that enough? For a school to intervene?" "Not usually." Her expression softened. "But for a grandmother who clearly loves these children? It might be." I understood what she wasn't saying. The school's hands were tied, but mine weren't, not completely. "We've called Mrs. Scott to pick up Tommy," Mrs. Jenkins continued. "She should be here soon." My heart raced. After months of forced separation, I was about to see Amanda. "May I wait with Tommy until she arrives?" Mrs. Jenkins nodded. "Of course." I returned to find Tommy calmer, drawing a picture with Ms. Winters. He looked up, immediately reaching for my hand. I drew our house, Grandma. The one with the orange tree in the backyard where we used to pick oranges together. I blinked back tears. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Can we go there now? Please? I don't want to go home. Before I could answer, the door opened. Amanda stood there, her face pale, hair pulled back in a hasty ponytail. She froze when she saw me. Mom? What are you doing here? The school called me, I said simply. Tommy asked for me. Something flashed across her face, relief? Fear? Both? Tommy ran to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Mom, can we go to Grandma's? Please? Amanda's eyes met mine over his head. I saw the struggle there, the war between fear of Robert's reaction and concern for her son. Tommy, get your backpack, Ms. Winters said gently, leading him to retrieve his things from a corner of the room. Alone for a moment, Amanda and I faced each other. He's not well, Amanda, I said quietly. Neither is Lily. Neither are you. She flinched. You don't understand. Robert just has high standards. Robert is destroying this family, I interrupted, keeping my voice low but firm. Deep down, you know that. Her eyes filled with tears. I can't just. Mom? Tommy was back, clutching his backpack. Are we going to Grandma's? Amanda looked from her son to me, then back again. I held my breath, seeing the battle raging within her. Finally, she took a deep breath. Just for a little while, she said, her voice barely audible. We need to get Lily first. I didn't know if this was a breakthrough or just a momentary reprieve, but for the first time in months, I felt something like hope. That afternoon at my house was bittersweet. Tommy and Lily explored every corner as if rediscovering a beloved place from a dream. They found the cookie jar still stocked with their favorites, the craft supplies I kept ready in the spare room, the books they'd loved that remained on their special shelf. Amanda watched them, her expression a mix of guilt and relief. They remember everything, she whispered, watching Lily curl up in the window seat with a familiar picture book. For months, and they remember it all. Children always remember where they feel safe and loved, I replied, careful to keep judgment from my voice. Tommy had fallen asleep on the couch, exhausted from his emotional day. Lily was nodding off with her book. In this moment of quiet, I finally had a chance to really look at my daughter. Amanda had lost weight. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, and she kept checking her phone, her anxiety palpable. Each time it buzzed, she flinched. He's texted 15 times, she said, not meeting my eyes. Called twice. I told him Tommy was sick and we're at the doctor's office. And when that excuse runs out? Her hands trembled. I don't know. I can't think that far ahead. You could stay here tonight, I suggested, keeping my tone casual. The kids are already settled. I still have your old room made up. Amanda's laugh held no humor. And then what? Robert would be at your doorstep by morning, probably with the police. Let him come. I've done nothing wrong. You don't understand what he's like when he's angry. She glanced at her sleeping children. What he says. What he does. I understand more than you think. I reached across the table, covering her hand with mine. Diane has kept me informed. Other parents at school have noticed. Tommy's teacher and the counselor are concerned. Her head snapped up. They've been watching us. They've been worried about you. All of you. Amanda pulled her hand away. This is exactly why Robert says we need distance from you. You're turning people against him. I haven't said a word to anyone until today, I countered, keeping my voice even. People are drawing their own conclusions from what they see. She stood abruptly. We need to go. I've already stayed too long. Amanda, please. No, Mom. You don't get it. If I don't go back, he'll just get worse. He'll take it out on the kids. Those words confirmed my worst fears. Then let me help you. All of you. How? By causing more problems? Her voice rose. By turning this into some big dramatic scene? No, I said firmly. By being smart. By building a network of support so strong that when you're ready to leave, you can do it safely. She froze. Leave? Isn't that what you want? Deep down? The silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken truths. Finally, Amanda sank back into her chair. Even if I did, I can't. He controls everything, our money, our social circle. He's convinced half our friends that I'm unstable. The other half are too afraid of him to help. But I'm not afraid of him, I said. And neither are your children's teachers. Or Diane. Or Pastor Jim. Or Dr. Levine, who's noticed how many times you've rescheduled Lily's checkups. With each name, Amanda's eyes widened. You've been talking to all these people? No. They've been talking to me. Because they care about you. The tears she'd been holding back finally spilled over. I don't know what to do, she whispered. I'm so tired, Mom. So tired of walking on eggshells. Of watching what I say. Of seeing the kids becoming so anxious. I moved to her side, pulling her into an embrace she didn't resist. You don't have to know what to do right now. You just have to let people help. She stiffened. Robert will never allow it. That's the point, sweetheart. It's not his choice to make. The next 3 weeks were a delicate dance. Amanda didn't leave Robert that day, but a door had been opened that couldn't be closed again. I became strategic, building connections without confrontation. I invited Tommy's teacher for coffee, learning which days Robert didn't do pickup. I reconnected with Amanda's old college friend Sarah, now a family lawyer. I had lunch with Diane and 3 other neighborhood mothers, creating a schedule where someone was always near Amanda's house, always available. Most importantly, I reached out to Eleanor Scott, Robert's mother. Our meeting at a quiet cafe outside town was tense at first. Eleanor was defensive, loyal to her son. But as I shared specific incidents, not accusations, just facts, her certainty wavered. Robert was always intense, she admitted finally. After his father left, he became obsessed with control. I thought he'd outgrown it. He hasn't, I said gently. And your grandchildren are suffering. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. What do you want from me? Not what you think. I don't want you to betray your son. I want you to help him see that he needs help. That the way he's treating his family isn't love, it's control. She considered this. He might listen to me. Maybe. It wasn't a promise, but it was a start. I never confronted Robert directly. I never accused Amanda of failing her children. I simply remained present, consistent, creating a safety net one thread at a time. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, my doorbell rang. Amanda stood on my porch, children in pajamas behind her, 2 hastily packed suitcases at her feet. He threw a plate at the wall, she said, her voice hollow. Because Lily spilled her milk. He called her stupid, worthless. Just like he calls me. I ushered them inside, heart pounding. What do you need? I asked, helping Lily with her rain boots. Amanda looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in years. I need my mom, she whispered. I need help. I pulled her into my arms, feeling her shoulders shake with silent sobs. Over her head, I met Tommy's solemn gaze. He nodded once, a child who had been forced to grow up too quickly. You're all safe now, I promised. And you won't face this alone. 1 year later, I stood in my backyard, watching Tommy chase Lily around the old oak tree. Their laughter, once so rare, now came easily and often. Behind me, Amanda arranged cookies on a platter, humming softly, another sound I'd missed during those dark months. The journey hadn't been easy. That rainy night when they arrived on my doorstep was just the beginning. Robert hadn't surrendered his control without a fight. There were late-night phone calls with threats, unexpected appearances at my house, attempts to turn friends against Amanda with stories of her mental instability. He'd hired an aggressive lawyer who painted Amanda as an unfit mother who had abandoned the marital home on a whim. But we were prepared. The documentation I'd kept, the witnesses willing to speak up, the evidence of emotional abuse, it all mattered. Sarah, Amanda's college friend turned family lawyer, had been invaluable, guiding us through the legal labyrinth with steady determination. Most surprising was Eleanor's role. Robert's mother had kept her promise, confronting her son about his behavior. When he refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing, she made the painful choice to support Amanda and the children instead. Her testimony about Robert's controlling tendencies since childhood had been pivotal in the custody hearings. "You're smiling," Amanda said, joining me on the patio. "What are you thinking about?" "How far we've come," I replied, accepting the lemonade she offered. "How strong you've been." She shook her head. "I wouldn't have made it without you, Mom. Without everyone." "You would have," I insisted. "Eventually. You're stronger than you know." Amanda gazed at her children playing. Tommy had grown 2 inches in the past year, his face losing its guarded expression. Lily had blossomed in therapy, her nightmares gradually fading, her voice growing confident again. "The therapist says they're doing really well," Amanda said. "Better than expected. Children are resilient when they feel safe and loved." "Safe and loved," she repeated softly. "Like I feel now." After leaving Robert, Amanda had initially moved in with me. Those first months were healing but difficult. Nightmares, anxiety attacks, moments when she doubted her decision, especially when Robert appeared reasonable during supervised visitations with the children. "He's being so nice now," she'd said once, wavering. "Maybe I overreacted." "That's how the cycle works," I'd reminded her gently. "He'll be charming until he has control again." Now, a year later, Amanda had her own apartment near the elementary school. She'd returned to teaching part-time. The divorce was final, with Robert granted only supervised visitation every other weekend, a schedule he often canceled, his interest in controlling his family waning once he realized he couldn't win. "Ms. Winters asked if I'd volunteer for the school science fair," Amanda said, interrupting my thoughts. "Said my classroom management skills would be perfect for herding excited third graders." I smiled at this evidence of her growing confidence. "You'd be wonderful." "I think I'll do it. I've spent too long hiding in the shadows." Tommy ran up, breathless and grinning. "Grandma, can we have a sleepover tonight?" "Mom said maybe if you're not too tired." I pretended to consider this, though my answer was never in doubt. "I suppose I could manage pancakes in the morning." "Yes." He pumped his fist in the air. "Can we use the star cookie cutters again?" "Of course." I ruffled his hair, marveling at how easily he expressed joy now. "Why don't you tell Lily while I talk to your mom?" As he raced off, Amanda smiled. "You don't have to say yes every time, you know. They won't think you love them any less if you need a break." "I know," I replied. "But I missed so many chances to make memories with them. I'm just making up for lost time." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the children play. So much had changed in a year. The family that had been fractured was healing, differently shaped but stronger at the broken places. "I've been thinking about what you said," Amanda said finally. "About how I pushed you away because of Robert's influence. That's in the past now. But it's important." She turned to face me. "I believed him when he said you were trying to control me, that you didn't respect my choices." I couldn't see that he was describing himself. I took her hand. "Emotional abuse works by isolation. By making you doubt yourself and everyone who loves you." "I know that now." She squeezed my fingers. "But I'm still sorry I shut you out. And I'm sorry I didn't find a way to reach you sooner." The back door slid open as Lily bounded onto the patio, clutching a dandelion gone to seed. Look what I found. Grandma, remember how you showed me to make a wish and blow? I nodded, my heart full. I remember everything, sweet girl. She closed her eyes tight, her face a study in concentration, then blew. The tiny white seeds scattered on the breeze, carrying whatever wish she'd made into the late afternoon sunshine. Did I do it right? She asked anxiously. Perfectly, I assured her. Amanda wrapped an arm around her daughter's shoulders. What did you wish for, honey? Lily's eyes widened in alarm. I can't tell. Grandma says wishes only come true if you keep them secret. We all laughed, the sound rising into the clear blue sky. Later there would be dinner to prepare, stories to read, tomorrow's challenges to face. Robert would continue his efforts to control, though with diminishing energy. The children would have moments of sadness and confusion about their father. Amanda would sometimes doubt her strength. But in this moment, watching dandelion seeds float on the breeze, surrounded by the family I'd feared losing forever, I knew one thing with absolute certainty: love, patient and persistent, could overcome fear. My voice, once silenced, had finally been heard. As if reading my thoughts, Amanda leaned her head against my shoulder, a gesture from her childhood that made my eyes sting with tears. Thank you for not giving up on us, Mom, she whispered. Never, I promised. Not ever. Tommy called from across the yard, eager to show us a caterpillar he'd discovered. Lily ran to join him, her earlier wish forgotten in this new excitement. Amanda and I followed, hand in hand, moving toward our family, broken once, but whole again in all the ways that truly mattered.